Hi everyone, Melissa from Simple Farmhouse Family. Here we are in my pantry, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for watching my last video. It was called 1 Year Pantry, and it kind of blew up for a small channel like mine. I have 20,000 views on that video, and I went from a simple 100 subscribers now to close to 500. And it's just been, in the last 9 days, so fun to watch. And I just want to get on here and thank you for liking and subscribing and watching. I know it seems like such a simple thing, but it is so fun to watch your channel grow when you kind of been putting videos out there for a few months and you only get a couple dozen views to see one of your videos kind of go viral for me. Super fun. So I just want to thank you for that before I get started. But here we are in my pantry, and I thought I would do a few videos kind of going deeper into each segment, so it would give you ideas on what I buy for, say, proteins and vegetables and fruits, and sugars and dairy products that I store long term, and the reason I store some of it, because some of it I store and it would not be ideal in a situation where it's not my everyday go-to. Like, for instance, we like fresh apples and we like fresh peaches and pears. So why do I store canned pears and peaches? And just going through every section so that hopefully it'll give you ideas on how to plan for maybe uncertain times, or just a better way to budget when you can buy things on sale. But more than anything, it's a peace of mind to know if things become really expensive or hard to find in the future, that, yeah, maybe you don't want to eat canned potatoes and carrots typically, but to know that you have some stored for if you can't buy the fresh, it's a big deal. So the first one I'm going to turn around and do is my vegetables today, and kind of give you some ideas on what I use them for and my logic and why I store each one. So let's get started on the vegetable section today. All right, here we are going through the vegetable section of my pantry. So I'm first going to just tell you a list of what I store and the reason I store it, and hopefully it gives you some ideas. So for instance, canned artichoke, green beans and corn. These are probably the two most common that I would see in most people's pantry, as you might store corn and green beans in cans. Mushrooms, carrots, peas, and asparagus spares. Again, carrots, and let's see, where are my potatoes? Here they are. Besides green beans and corn, carrots and potatoes are very common to store. Peas, asparagus, like I showed you, that's not as common. Spinach, even less common. Then green chilies, olives. Most people have olives if you like them in your pantry. And then things like pepperoncinis, banana peppers, some roasted peppers in oil and garlic, pickled asparagus, pickled beets. I also just do sliced beets that aren't pickled. Sauerkraut, anything fermented is excellent. And pickles you probably find on most people's shelves. So these are the canned items. Obviously, I have canned asparagus and it in glass jar. So this one's pickled, this one is not. And then the only other thing that I have doubles of is sauerkraut in a can. I also have some in a glass jar. So there are the vegetables that I store. And initially, I really debated things like spinach, peas, and what else did I kind of question? Really, probably asparagus as well, because I don't grab for cans of asparagus. If I want to eat asparagus, I want to go to the store and get fresh asparagus, grill it, or at least, saute it on a pan. Spinach, I eat fresh. Rarely do I eat it in a can. And same with the peas. I like frozen peas. I like frozen green beans and corn. And so I'm guessing that a lot of you are watching this. I also like fresh mushrooms And even if I'm going to saute them, I tend to want to choose fresh mushrooms and saute them myself than to use a can of mushrooms. But here's the logic that I have with storing all these things. I know at Christmas time, in the holiday season, both Thanksgiving and Christmas, Easter, I will make a green bean casserole. I will make a corn casserole. And so using canned, I naturally will grab canned for those two dishes. So I know that at least a couple times a year, I am using canned. Now we all know, same with, you know, pepperoncinis, I bought those fresh. Banana peppers I bought fresh. I definitely buy my peppers fresh and roast them myself. So I think a lot of people wonder, why would you buy so many cans of each of these items if you can't use them every day? And the reason I do is because I am seeing the prices go up. I'm seeing that it's harder to find certain items. And so I definitely have started learning how to cook with each of these vegetables in case I need to. And it's actually quite easy to find like casseroles for green beans and corn. I make spaghetti sauce with now canned mushrooms and a lot of different pasta sauces with mushrooms. And then you also, if you saute these in some butter, then they taste pretty good. And then you can use them for on top of hamburgers. This is the mushrooms. I always typically used to do like fresh carrots and potatoes in anything, even if I was making stews or soups and it called for carrots and potatoes. I always just went to fresh as my natural, and it's still what I would prefer to cook with. But I've started learning to cook with these items so that if I need to start using them on a more regular basis, I know how to. And to tell you the truth, soups and stews are so easy to cook, potatoes and carrots, and so easy. You just pop a can of these open, throw it in, and your soup is all the way cooked. And then when you start doing that with your canned meat, which I will do in another video, all the canned meat that I have, I mean, you can make a stew that normally when you do a fresh roast and you have to cook it all day, it can take all day to make a beef stew. But if you have canned roast beef, carrots and potatoes, some gravy, you can make it very fast, and it's actually quite tasty. So start learning. If you're gonna store items like this, you want to, before you ever need them, to start learning to cook with them. I found with spinach, I can make this with eggs and make a quiche, and it's quite tasty. We don't really just open it to eat it as it's, you know, a side of spinach, but I've also put it in a few casseroles that call for spinach, and it's totally fine eating it that way. Same with peas. Normally I make peas out of frozen or fresh during the time that my garden is producing, but I started using peas this way. Now, to tell you the truth, our family will eat corn and green beans out of a can. We'll make things with potatoes and carrots, and my kids don't even know the difference. But if I were to pour some peas and just heat them up with a little bit of butter in a can, it doesn't go over well with my family. I've tried it. So the only way I use peas is in dishes. I can put it in a soup at the end or in a casserole, and it works. Olives, I don't even like olives, so I store those for my family. Everybody knows how to use olives, so I don't need to tell you about that. Asparagus, again, I need to play around a little bit more. We did it with butter and some seasoning, and it was all right, but it was a bit soggy. I like my asparagus a little bit crunchy. But if push came to shove and all of a sudden you didn't have the option to go to the store, and if you weren't growing enough vegetables that you then preserved, you would be happy to have this variety. And so but I also don't want it to go to waste. So all my cans have a date on them, and I will do another video about how this one is October of 2023, how I put a sticker at the beginning of each box to tell me exactly, without even looking, what year it's going to expire, and nothing ever goes bad in our home. We use it. And so when I know, for instance, the spinach has a date of, let's see, 2024. So we've got some time, but obviously in 2024, if we had not used this coming up on 2023, I would start making more casseroles or quiches with spinach to get it gone. I am not about buying food that you don't use. Although I do think you can go past the expiration a little bit, I am a big advocate to use what you have. But you don't need to put a sticker or the date on every single can. I will show you my system on how I make sure right from the beginning that we don't eat the newer stuff and then let the old stuff go bad. We do have a complete system of with just one sticker per line that I can tell myself right from the beginning what's new, what's old, and then we also always work from the top left to the right. So as long as I'm pulling from the left side of that particular product, I know I'm getting the oldest thing out first instead of eating any of the new stuff. Down here, pepperoncinis I typically use in banana rings in salads or nachos are a common thing we use those for. Roasted peppers are delicious. These also are good. I didn't notice any difference between using this in recipes that call for roasting your peppers. Just using a can works just as well. Pickled asparagus, totally different ball game. Although I'm not loving just using plain asparagus from a can and putting some butter and seasoning. I haven't loved just because it's a little bit soggy. Pickled asparagus, super good for you. And it's, you know, it's fermented, so it's really good for you. And then over here, I've got pickled beets. Beets have a very earthy taste. This typically goes in a salad at our house or just one or two on the side of a plate if I'm trying to eat more pickled things. Sauerkraut is great for brats or even just basic hot dogs is what we use it for. Sometimes if I make pork chops, we'll have sauerkraut, or a few beef dishes. Sauerkraut is good for, but we also make it. It's very easy to make. But if I somehow don't grow enough cabbage to make sauerkraut, then I definitely want to have some stored until I can replenish. And I will also take you guys out to my root cellar, which has all my canned goods, all the things that I've canned. Just in here is store-bought stuff. And I wanted to show you guys these items so that if you don't can, or you don't garden, or you don't have a big garden, or you live in the city, that you absolutely can store enough food for your family for a year just by buying things from the store. Obviously, I'm an advocate of canning and growing your own things as well, which we do. And then finally, before I let you guys go, over here we've got spinach. These things are either dehydrated or freeze-dried from Augustin, I think is how you say it, farms. And they either, yeah, so like the broccoli is freeze-dried because you really couldn't dehydrate broccoli very well, I don't believe. So they freeze dry their broccoli. This tastes, if you're going to freeze dry anything, it really tastes quite good, rehydrated. We have a freeze dryer now that I'm learning to use and start making or freeze drying my own food. But if you don't have a freeze dryer, which is a big investment, and if you don't have a garden, it's probably not worth having one because it would be hard to freeze dry enough food to make it worth it if you aren't producing some of it for cheap on your own. But for instance, these diced bell peppers, they're just dehydrated. And I've dehydrated bell peppers from my garden, and it takes this and celery, so many stalks. To get a big can like this and to dehydrate, it takes a huge amount. I think I counted one time for just a quart was like 8 bunches of celery because it dehydrates to such a small size. It's really crazy. So this is actually a very good deal to buy dehydrated celery. And then I also do that with dehydrated spinach. Now I have to admit, I have got into bell peppers and I've got into celery and broccoli that's either freeze dried or dehydrated. I have never actually opened the spinach yet, just because I buy fresh spinach right now. I do have it available. So I'm kind of saving this, which is more expensive long-term, to keep in case we need it. And especially when it's in a can like this, it's meant to be stored. I don't have to pop this open and use it. The date on this, for instance, is, see if I can get it for you guys, October 21st of 22. Okay, so this one actually, that surprises me because I didn't order this, but probably 6 months ago. So this is in this year that I need to use this. So you do want to pay attention to even your dehydrated and freeze-dried food because I was not aware of that on that one. So there, we're learning together. I'm glad I'm doing this video to show you guys. So there are my vegetables and the reason I store them. If you guys want to know how and know the recipes I make with things, I'd be happy to do some videos on cooking. So yeah, like I was saying, I'd be happy to do some videos on some of the meals I make, because as much as you're planning to store food, you want to know how to cook with it before you need to cook with it, because you're constantly rotating it. You don't want anything to go bad. You're not buying the stuff to just sit on it and let it expire, and then you're debating, do you even want to cook with it? I also have, I didn't show you the dehydrated potatoes as well. So this is just to encourage you. These vegetables are the ones I store. And then the next video I'll show you the fruits I store. And with that, some sugars like jellies and honey, and how long those last and how much you should store for your family. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I appreciate if you like and subscribe. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. It's a big goal for a small channel like me. But I was so encouraged that you guys watched my 1-year pantry. And so we're diving deep into my pantry so that hopefully you guys can start storing some food for your family. All right, thanks for watching.